So I'm up and down a lot at the beginning. And especially if I'm wanting to drip things. And
what made you think of moistening it with water, Tom?
I read it somewhere.
You read it somewhere?
And then I like what resulted. So it's always different. So I just picked up a lot of color, as you can see, it has dripped here, and mainly it has dried. But as dripping water, and some of this stuff just dissolved and got on my paper, which with the kind of painting I do, doesn't matter. Somebody else who was very strict and wanted to keep everything separate and not messed up. Messing up is the path to discover. And a lot of this stuff, either it drips down or it dries up. So, and I keep something that's moist here. Now, let's see.
What would you like?
Yeah, give me
A plate?
more than that to say bend. Give me like four, like a stack of four, so I'll have four. Then I would like, you see this stuff, that's called a medium. A
The
medium,
extra coarse pumice gel.
yeah.
Okay.
And is there anything
Want me
that's
to open
already
it?
open that's a coarse pumice?
This one's been open. This one's been open. They've both been open, but this one has more out of it.
Well, I'll use whatever I can. And then we go to, let's see. You see, plastic, yeah, this is it. So I take, and Rachel can do
Yeah.
my
What would you like?
I want to color,
You want we've got the red here.
give me one of the
Quinacridone.
blues. I'll take the red in a little while. And just squeeze it into here, and then I'll mix it up.
You think I'll squeeze the whole thing?
Yeah,
On top?
this is a big canvas. Just squeeze everything. And if you want to use another blue, I think I put another blue. If not,
Yeah.
just take one out of the drawer with.
There's more here.
Okay, so I'm just.
So you want more now?
How much? Yeah. What's the name of this? Is this cobalt or ultramarine?
This
one
is
you just-
ultramarine blue.
That's fine. You need some more.
Yeah, I got more here.
Okay.
You want more now?
Yeah, and I need some more of
The pumice gel?
the pumice. Sorry.
All right. John, you have I'll get it. You need a different scooper?
No, it doesn't
So could
matter.
you
Just
toss
so I
this?
can get it out. Just watch your fingernails, because this stuff is like sand that can be annoying.
So just scoop it out.
Yeah, just scoop and put it in here, please.
So what is that stuff exactly?
It's ground up mineral. It's various things. It depends on what you want to do, and also what kind of paint you use. I use acrylics. Other people use oil paints, and it's called a medium. And a medium can be anything that's not paint, and it creates certain effects, or it thickens the color that you're using. And you may not actually want to wind up with that color, but it gives a lot of surface texture, which if you don't use it, it's a flatter looking surface. So I'd say since the abstract painters came along, there's much more interest in stuff like this. This is essentially a mineral that's ground up. So, Rachel, can I have some more of
You
the,
want more pumice?
yeah. And I don't know if there's another one of these paint scrapers. Just watch your fingernails.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no fingernails. It's not my priority. You want more?
Well, yeah, because I have a lot of color here, which is good because I have a big.
So you
paper.
have a certain kind of mixture level in mind?
Yeah,
of
well,
pumice to
I'll know
when you get there.
when I get
When
there.
you
I
get
don't
there.
know
I know.
beforehand. It's not like a cooking recipe. It might be for some people, but not for me. So what I'm going to do now, Rachel, I'll let you be my, I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
Factotum. You do
Okay.
everything.
All right, I'll be your factotum.
I'm just putting stuff down and since I'm short, I don't get very far with the surface, but I'm glad I put down a lot of stuff because that makes it easy. And I read this recently that by using a medium, you help your colors to be brighter and to stay better in terms of being affixed to the canvas.
Certainly looks very vibrant, that color.
It looks what?
Very vibrant.
It is, yeah. This is,
Yeah.
which one is this?
This is the ultramarine.
Ultramarine, okay. And I'll let, you can do some more work here, Ray.
Yeah, just tell me what to
Turn this
do.
canvas upside down. So
Okay.
make it go the other way now.
Sorry, John.
Just watch, you don't get yourself covered with paint.
Whoops.
And I don't care if it gets smeared, I'm more worried about your clothes than,
Yeah, that's good. All right.
yeah, so, well, that was a good amount of stuff that I put down. Usually I have to go like about 2 or 3 times to get the mixture that I want. So I'm actually learning something.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff, as you can see, if it's moist enough, it will drip a diluted form of this color, and it's also got the medium in it.
Right.
And it, as I said, you can mix anything with it, like, and to get certain effects. So I'm at this point mainly concerned with putting down a color, and then I'm going to be messing around with it. So you can see that there is a texture to this, and I think, what did the jar say? Was it coarse, or did it say? And I
Extra coarse, though.
Extra coarse.
coarse.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I like it. It's hard to get around here. This is not a center of painting supply. The best supplier is far away. And, you know, if I order it, but then it takes a couple of weeks to get here. So there is a little paint supply store. Okay, so I got, this is essentially just a paint scraper or mixer, whatever you want to call it. And if you've ever seen pictures of, what's his name, Pollock, he used twigs to paint. So anything can become a paintbrush. As long as you can get some paint on it, it's your tool.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, at first I was scared. I thought you had to be like a genius painter to use a palette knife. Can you put that down somewhere?
You want me to take both?
Yeah, and then I want, here, I got this, I call this a palette knife. Some stores call it a painting knife. But this is actually I call it a palette pencil. I'll call it
What do you
I
want?
call. I want a tissue to blend.
Oh, you want a tissue?
I'm always allergic to something, actually. Oh, here.
Oh, here they are.
Keep it near me, please, and I'll try and keep them. Okay, so this is the, I don't know, I can't say it's the first stage, but with me, because I use dripping, that's an early stage. Then I put down a color, and then I may put down yet now another color. Oh, thank you. All right, now, what do I got? I'll take give me one of those coral colors, and we'll see what happens.
The red or the?
There's
There's a coral.
Quinnicut
Give me
coral.
the coral.
Yeah.
Keep the
Do
coral.
you want me to put it on the
nearby.
plate?
Yeah, that'll be okay. You don't have to mix it with anything, because I'm going to mix it up with stuff that's here. On the canvas. And what's here, canvas is called a support, a traditional painting term, in which whatever supports the paint is a support. So other people might use wood
Want
panels.
more?
We'll see.
Okay.
So, all right, I got here, and we'll see what happens. And I'll see what happens, because I don't really know except. And one of the determinants of what becomes of the canvas is not only the color, but the motion. With the kind of painting I do, it's the motion. So if I make big, wide motions, like to go around the whole canvas or half the canvas, you get a different kind of result, an image. And as I go along, I will modify it or not modify it. If I like it, I might just leave it as it is, but then again, I may not do a thing to it, or do a lot to it. All right, so as you go along, all right, I would like some more of that red.
Okay, got
The
it.
coral,
It's
was
coming.
it?
The coral, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Say when.
that's fine.
quinacridone.
Quinacridone, yeah, so it's quite a name.
And so the motion may be completely abstract in terms of what I want to see come out of that. But then again, I may make a motion that could look like a person's head, it could look like a figure, it could look like an animal, it could look like nothing except a mark. So if I scrape more and more off, you will see more and more white, which is the supports the canvas underneath it. But if I leave a lot, then that's a different result.
Do you think big canvases are more work than smaller canvases?
Oh, yeah, they are. I mean, just because they're big.
They're big.
You
It's a
have
lot-
to use more canvas and more time to cover it unless you just want, an impression, but not a lot of detail. If you think you want more detail, then you spend more time. Or you want to get something. So as I'm using this, it's just a tool, it's either called a painting knife or a palette knife, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just moving it around. So as I move it around, it will make different forms as I instruct my arm to go around. So it's so you can see a lot of this stuff has gone to the bottom and it's accumulating. And if I like it that way, I'll just leave it alone. But if I want to do something else, I'll move it or do something different or put in yet another color. So I think I have a second blue there. This is ultramarine? Is this one?
Yeah, you have a cobalt blue.
Okay, well that's a bright blue also. And I don't know quite which way I'm going, but a lot of this mixture, which, this from elementary school, you mix red and blue, you get purple, which it is elementary, and that's what's happening. Now I'm transferring and moving some of this stuff around, and it will take a while. And I don't really know where I'm going. I just know that I either like what I'm seeing, or I want to go further, or explore it more, or not explore it more. And because this is a big canvas and I'm short, then I will turn it around.
Yeah, you want me to turn it now? Or not yet?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, can you turn it? Just watch yourself with your thing.
So why do you think you like the big canvas versus the
Because that's
small?
what everybody says. If I start doing small canvases, they have the feeling that they don't really say it, but the teacher says it. It feels like, I want to get out of this boundary.
I see.
But a lot of people, prefer small stuff, and they're into much more detail, and their movements are different. If you're painting on the head of a pin, you make another one kind of movement. If you're painting 30 by 40, which is what I'm doing, you make a bigger movement. Not necessarily a bigger movement, but part of it will be a bigger movement, depending on what my arm wants to do. Now, as I go around here within the painting, I'm creating certain boundaries. I'm creating forms. And if I like them, I leave that boundary as it is, and then work. I tend to call these parts niches. So within this niche, I want to explore and see what else I can find inside the niche. And I don't really know necessarily what I'm finding or hope to find, but I will use my arm and the motion of the arm to find things. So let's see what I got down here. I got so as you take off paint, and as I said, because it's got a white support, it's getting lighter and lighter because the white is making everything else lighter. Although white paint in and of itself is quite opaque, and it can actually make something, I can't say darker, but you can't see through it, so the light doesn't go through it, and it's got a different result. And sometimes as I'm going along, I have a feeling that something feels like a figure, or it could be a figure, it could be a head. But I don't have any special impression on my mind right now. But I may see something that I really want to explore, and then I'll pursue that suggestion in my mind. So here is a sequence of colors, formed, I guess it's a combination. Where is the Kleenex box, please? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's right.
Actually, give me a couple of Kleenex, please. Thank you.
Have you been working a lot with the pumice lately?
Yeah, I find that it's better and better to work with the pumice. If I were near a more well-supplied art store, I could get other kinds of things. But I really like coarse materials, and the pumice, at least around here, is the nicest that I find. You know, it's not that it's nice. Somebody else would like something that gives a glossy effect, a shiny effect, and it would reflect the light or push the light off in more directions than what this does. But what this does, at least in my experience with it, it's all experience, is you mix it with something and then you see what happens. So it takes a while to learn that or not to learn it. And maybe it's, you learn something or you don't learn something, something happens. And so if I do this, that's a different kind of more. And I'm just pressing down the knife. Now this is very thick down here, and I like it, so I'm going to leave it that thick. Other parts I will scrape and it will be thinner, and you get a different sequence of colors or forms, and that's just how I am happening to work on at this time. It was what I see.
Now we could turn it sideways. Would you want it sideways?
I don't think she should.
I don't know. I'm usually happier with the vertical dominant, but we could turn it sideways. It's
No.
it's just because I usually like better what I see on the side. And the other thing is, I'm limited with, well, not limited with wall. If I turn around here, that's okay. But other places, it's really hard to find a 40-inch space in an apartment. You know, you're looking for a wall that will hold this size paint. So, So what have I used? One blue I've used.
You use one blue and the coral.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, just turn this around for me, vertical, but turn it around so now it's upside down. Different orientation. Okay. Can I have a trash basket over here and I'll just dump this, please? Thank you. Now, I'm looking, one thing you should always do, it's like you write something, you should be aware of the whole work. So it's not just one portion of it that's important. How the whole thing holds together is what's important.
Would you like a new glove, Sal?
Yes, I'd like 2 new gloves. Oh. Thank you. And as I'm looking at this painting, what is very interesting to me is this wide area of very heavily textured stuff. So what do I have 2 reds over there? I have coral, and what else do I have?
And more coral.
You have a gold.
You have a Pyrrole red
Yeah.
and
Pyrrole red.
2 Pyrrole reds.
All right, give me one of the reds.
It's very similar to the coral, but
Well, we'll see.
I'm just going to
Okay.
put down a little bit of
it's
it.
a little lighter than the Pyrrole than the coral you're using.
Okay. And then also, may I have a different blue? So what did I start with?
You started with the ultramarine, and we have a cobalt blue.
All right, may I
Also.
have the cobalt?
Do you want more of that?
No, for the time being,
Whoops,
a little
wait.
bit. Just watch your hand.
Yeah.
Use some of
This is
the,
the cobalt.
That's all right.
the white.
Do you want more blue on there? The cobalt blue on
No,
there?
just give me the 2 because I'm the kind of person who
That's
just
not- I
forced
gave
it
you-
onto
I
the
gave you the
canvas. So just take the top off. So this is
Cobalt blue.
cobalt. All right. Now, I find that I usually like to leave some of the white on the canvas. Other people look askance at that and say you got to put down paint. I don't really need to put down paint. I can work with it just this way. So I'm going to see what happens here.
You mean to hold this for you?
Yeah, thank you. What do you got in your hand, John? Red or?
I've got the other color of red, the
Pyrrole.
Pyrrole red.
Okay, give me a little bit of that.
The lighter red.
It's a lighter red.
It's lighter red than the
Okay.
coral a little bit. So it gets that like this.
Another thing is that it takes a while to learn or to be conscious of is not to be afraid to go to the border or to go off the border. Because you don't necessarily want your stuff to stop before you get to the border, but you might, but it's something that some people are very afraid of, reaching the edge, and they don't know what to do. And the thing is, you have to accept the edge and either work with it or go away from it or see what shows up. So that's something I'm still learning, because sometimes I like what appears, but other times I'm really not happy with it. And I don't really notice it until I consider the whole picture I'm finished with it, or I put it away, and it just happens to be what I did that day or what I said it was finished. Okay, let's see, I got blue here, and this is cobalt. All right, so this is a very bright blue. Now, what's happening here is sometimes I may start a painting and consider it finished, and then I come back another day and I feel more work needs to be done at this stage. And I'm not always sure about that, because it's very much, I don't know what to call it, mental. You get an impression, and then you live with it or you don't live with it. All right, so I kind of like this stuff here. It's very heavily textured. And usually I just have like a small area, but that today is, now this is turning to a very purple kind of thing. And I'm just going to leave it alone, work around a little bit. So a lot of this has turned to purple, which I haven't had that much experience with. I mean, I know basically, your elementary school, red and blue, do you purple, but I'm working with specific tones of blue or orange or red. So it's a learning experience. And I don't know if I've learned much, but it's interesting to me. I mean, why I paint is because I find it interesting.
Could you turn this the other way around, please? So that this is down on the bottom. Thank you. Can I have an orange or coral? The coral.
You want this red or you want the
Oh,
coral?
okay. Can I put this down, please? Thank you. And would you put this somebody on the table or
Mhm.
whatever? Could you just stick this painting on the floor the way it is, but down low? So I can reach the top, but I don't have to stand up. So you just stick it on the floor, please. Just watch it and get yourself covered with paint. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna leave this alone now. I say it's finished, but sometimes I come back the next day and I feel something needs more definition. I don't think I wanna do anything big further, but, I'll see. So this is where I'm stopping. And I don't necessarily say it's finished, but that's where I'm stopping.
Okay. Great.
It's cool, so. Do you want me to put it back up?
Yeah, let's see, where was I? I was holding it this way. Let me, just for the heck of it, turn
Yeah.
it around and let me see it.
Yeah,
through.
tell me which way you want me to leave it.
Well, just turn it upside down, where, this way.
Yeah, that was the way it was.
That was how
It started.
I started and I kind of continued in that path. Thank you very much, Rachel. Just don't get yourself covered.
It's all right.
Well, that's interesting.
Very interesting. I don't remember ever seeing you do that.
I
That was
don't
the
remember
last-
doing it either,
That
so.
was the last minute.
Yeah, I know.
It looks
I was
like-
very interested. He said that was at the last minute. That was something
Yeah,
he
it
did
was.
just at the end.
So I've developed the larger, what I call niches. So sometimes I do a lot of work within a niche, and basically I create a boundary. And sometimes I'm just happy with whatever that big outline was, but other times I see a possibility that something else needs to be done. I don't even know what it is. But what I found helpful is using pastel paints to go around and outline the stuff. But when you use pastels, they have to be fixed with a fixative. In other words, that's a chemical that keeps it's essentially chalk dust, and it will blow off unless you do something to it with another chemical to make it stay there. So that's what happens later if I decide I like it this way. I may just want to paint over it or, do something. But I at this point, I don't know more. It kind of looks like a whirlpool at this point. And I really like this. I've never done this much texture in one spot. Usually I put the texture down and then I start scraping it and mixing it with nearby areas, and the heavy area of texture disappears. There may be a little left, but in this case I'm leaving a lot of texture, and I'll see if I like it. I think I like it now because I really discovered that I like, well, I know I like texture, but this much is an interesting experiment for me. So that's what's going on today.
Any advice for future generations of artists, Sal?
No, I just say, just be open-minded, and actually, this little bit here looks like a piece of sendak. A lot of my paintings have scraps of sendak in them. It's not intentional, but it's obviously somebody that has been a big influence. And I don't really think about, I'm gonna paint sendak today or anything, but it just happens, and it's something I say I like.
When you say sendak, do you mean the children's?
Yeah.
author? Right, okay.
So he's not just for children.
Right,
And
no, he's
actually,
not.
a lot of painters, especially one woman in my class last year, we had a critique. So I said, your paintings look like sendak. And she said, he's my favorite. My house is covered with sendak images. So it comes out, even if you say, you don't say I'm gonna paint sendak today, but if it's somebody who's made a strong impression, it may come out, it may not come out. So, anyway, if it's good enough for sendak, it's good enough for me, so. Okay, so that's the painting for today.
All right, Sal, thank you.
Thank you, Sal.
You're lucky you got a painter who's a fast lady. And I'm gonna wash these off.
Here, let me help you. So.
Just don't get yourself covered with
Yeah.
paint. Well, that was fun,
That's
and
great,
I'll be
Sal.
interested to see what turns out, because I've had still images of me, but never a movie. But right now, what I want is a glass of water. Because I think what most people, children don't need to be taught that much, but they might. Just to be free and express yourself. Whereas, that's why people like me, having me in the class, because I show them what to do, not what to put on the canvas, but just to go at it, with an uninhibited way. And it may be silly or not effective, but most people who come into painting at an adult level are very self-critical and can't bear that they're not doing something exactly right, or some way that looks like something they've seen in a book or a museum. When if you take up painting at a later point or any point, it's self-expression, and I'm uninhibited about that. Most people are inhibited, at least grown-ups, and kids are too, especially if, I think what I learned, when I went to school, and I don't know what they taught you in your classes, but when I went to school, everything was, there's one right answer, and you gotta, put it down with that one right answer. And then somebody came along, I think it's John Holt. Do they read anything by him now as an
No.
educational?
No.
Well, he went on to say that there doesn't have to be one right answer, which actually is a way of thinking creatively. If you just go whatever way your brain is telling you, your hand, you will find more unusual things than if you just stick to a teeny little area that's the one right answer. Because you find most creative people, they may be criticized for not going the one right answer way, but they may be more interesting and more, more influential in what they do. Like, just thinking about Pollock and Hans Hofmann, if they hadn't pursued their own stubborn vision, a lot of people wouldn't have painted the way they wound up painting. So it's a very good thing not to find the one right answer and to go for the alternate view. Not always, but there's a lot that's out there that we don't know about.
So do you know what in you, Sal, has allowed you to be so free about your art?
I don't really know, because I certainly came from a home where the one right answer was the answer. My parents were not educated at all. My father was a very good writer and speller, and my mother was very regretful that she didn't have more education. She only went to 8th grade. And she was very upset about that, which I don't blame her, because women, but also men, were kept from going on with their visions. At the time, they were immigrants, their families were. Why not go out and make some money, because that's what the family needed, which isn't what developed into a professional education. It wasn't until a generation or two later that people had the confidence it's worth spending 8 years in college or someplace and learning a very difficult subject, because people looked askance at people who spent their life 8 years in college or graduate school, and this is not the way you should be going, you should be supporting the family. And they didn't really care about self-development, except they were always very proud when there was a doctor or a lawyer in the family. But mainly they felt they couldn't afford to spend that money when they could be out earning money to put bread in the mouths of the family. So it was a whole, it's a different generation that could afford to make this decision that will spend many years in school and learning a very complex subject. And it's the same thing, not just with studying law or medicine, which was what all these people thought about, you know, who could go to medical school, you know, you had to be wealthy. You weren't really that wealthy, but the people who went had a vision that they were worth investing in and worth learning more and learning about other ways to think about things than just to get a simple education, because, and especially for a woman, that they wouldn't go along with a life where you spent many years getting education or appreciating that there were subjects that deserved this much study and exploration. I mean, what I was actually, in my own life, I felt that it wasn't until much later in my life that I had the confidence just to do what I'm doing here, because I did it, when the kids are very little, I took some courses in the evening at, like in Linux, when we lived in Linux. But it was I was very cautious about what I did. And it was only actually when I retired, I just decided I'm gonna do it, and it didn't really take a lot of thought. I had already lived my life, so to speak, and I felt if anything is worth doing, it's worth doing for yourself and your own vision, and not necessarily just going along with somebody else's instruction that this is right and something else is all wrong, because something that might be all wrong might be the right, I can't say answer, but they're just alternate ways of thinking about things. And you really just have to have confidence that what you're thinking about or doing is right for you. And it might be right for somebody else to get something from your vision, but it's just really a question of, I don't really care what other people think. I want to do what I want to do. So I can't say that it was necessarily age, because I know a lot of people here that they never be any different than they are. You know, a very kind of restricted view of how you should live or not live, or how your children should live. So I felt that, you know, whatever somebody decided was right for them was okay within the limits. I mean, I know there are limits for everybody, you know. There's time and money, you know, to spend on what you want to do. But as I got older, especially, you know, as I said, after I retired, I just went and did something. I didn't really think about, I just knew I wanted to do something that wasn't following around somebody else. That whatever I did, I was the originator of it. So that's how mainly I think it's having a confidence in yourself and what you want to do. And even if you mess up, it's not so awful, you can just do it over or do something else. I think that's what scares most people. They think, oh my God, I've messed up this canvas. And the point is, you haven't messed up a canvas, you're learning something that maybe it's not how you should paint or think about it, but that's it. So.
Cool.
Right, so
Okay, well, thank you for taking the photos, and I'll be interested to see what I said. Yes.